Hey, everybody, this is Hoppy with Age 12. Hey, today we're going to talk about the transfer portal, and this is going to get messy. So hang with me. I want to talk about the progression of how it used to be versus what it is now. Okay. How it used to be was you're playing high school. If you were an absolute stud, you had an outside chance of the draft because there were 50 rounds, or you had your D1 scholarship. You're the stud, you're going D1. Then you would go to that school for 4 years or 5 years, develop, hopefully become pro worthy, and get drafted. But you're going to walk out of there with a degree. The players that weren't the big studs went to junior college and they developed. And then they would transfer after their sophomore year to another school that they could play at. And then in 2 or 3 years, walk away with a degree. And if something amazing happened, they get drafted. That was the progression. Junior colleges were really about developing and getting their players off to 4-year schools. That was the focus. The 4-year schools were about taking that refined player from high school and try to get them to be draftable and win. You could go and make a short list of programs that developed and got players to the pro level. It was well known. And that's how it used to be. Then came NIL and the transfer portal. Now, before, when you transferred, you had to sit out. So guess what? Nobody transferred. There was no money involved. It was about staying with the program and developing and moving on. Now with the portal and NIL, it's about the money. Amateur sports has now come to how much money can I make? Now you've got players that go to a school, make X amount of dollars, and then they hear, hey, I can make more at this school. So they transfer with no penalty and take a spot from somebody. Now, that team that just got that transfer portal, there's somebody down the list going, well, now I'm never going to play. So I'm going to go to the transfer portal. And then he tries to go somewhere that lost some players from the portal, and they're just going back and forth. I don't think that's why NIL and the transfer portal were created. Sure, it's to compensate the players. But when you're leaving other schools to go to another school to get more money, for what? We've lost the concept of team. It's all about I now. How much money can I make? And people are going to make the argument going, well, most of these guys aren't going to make pro anyway, so they got to make the money while they can. But what happened to going to college for a degree? What happened to going to college to experience the college life? That's all gone now. It's all about me and money and chasing winning instead of building. It's about chasing winning and money. Welcome to college athletics. Now, the one that gets hurt the most in this is the high school senior. One, the MLB draft is 20 rounds now. The absolute stud in high school, if he's draftable, has a chance to go to a 4-year. They're going to get that scholarship. but they may not play much because that team just went and got 6 transfer portal guys because they're trying to win to keep up with everybody else that's taking on these portal guys. So that high school senior that's not a stud, well, he's going to go to a JC now, which is fine. Love it. I'll push JCs all day. I think it's great because you're playing right away. At least you should. But here's where the problem comes in. The year before, that stud high school guy that went to a 4-year school got 6 at-bats. And he's like, screw this. I'm going to drop down, go to a JC so I can play every day. So he just took a spot from a high school senior trying to go to a JC. So those really good high school players that need JC to continue to develop so that they can transfer to the 4-year don't have a spot on a club, and they're done. They're either getting cut or they make the team and they get 6 at-bats and just wasted a year. So the cycle of how it used to be versus where it is now is actually cutting down on the number of players that have a chance to develop later on. If you're a late bloomer, you're struggling. Because even in the 4-year school, if you were that stud 18-year-old high school player and you do get to play, you're facing a guy who's 24, 23, he's 5 years older than you. Physically stronger, more mentally prepared, mentally disciplined. He's just better than you. It's tough. So you can't play at the 4-year. You drop down to a JC, and then that next guy, he doesn't have a spot. It's challenging. For what? Money? We've lost the idea of college athletics being about the college experience and working towards a degree. Now we're going to college to make money. And I don't want to hear, oh, well, colleges make so much money off these players and blah, blah, blah. It's the football programs. They make money. Everybody else doesn't. That's why their rosters are smaller. Stadiums look great, but they cost money. Who pays for them? The football program. Donors. You're not making millions of dollars on the gate. That's why they're trying to win. So hopefully, there'll be some sort of deterrent to transfer. Maybe you bring back that sit-out period again. Maybe you'd have a limit that you can't transfer after in your senior year or grad year. You can't transfer. Or if you do, there's no NIL money. Something to keep players at schools so that these colleges can get back to developing and taking a chance on that freshman or that sophomore transfer from a JC. And that's only going to strengthen the JCs because they're going to get players that they can develop, and then they can make their names again. Because right now, they're getting drop downs and guys that didn't sign. And you're losing the really good high school player that needs 2 years to develop. I think that's the answer. Doubt it's going to happen because now it's all about the money. So, something to think about. I know college coaches are really at their wits' end because they get a guy, they recruit him, they bring him in, they feel good, and you're supposed to have that guy for 4 years, and after the first year, he's in the portal, and he's gone. Now you got to go replace that. With what? Well, you didn't recruit any freshmen because you cut them all because they got beat out by 23-year-old fifth-year seniors, 6-year seniors, grad students. It's a rough world out there. Push for the JCs. High school players, don't get disgruntled. Keep working. And 4-year schools, I pray for you. With that one there, folks, I'm out of here.